Hello.
Hi.
We're back.
Sorry about that.
So it's episode 2 of Behind the Uniform, and this week we're going to talk a bit more about the family life, the juggle.
Motherland.
Yes.
The endless juggle, what life's like as mothers, as wives, fiancés for some of us that are not married. Thank you. I'm still waiting for that invitation.
How many years have you been engaged?
Quite a while. Won't talk about it. He's already in the doghouse, literally every day. Well, we're far too busy for a marriage.
Yes, that is true. When would you fit that in? I don't know.
Well, of course. And that's what we're going to be talking about, is how we fit everything in. And I know that a lot of people will be able to relate to that. Life, the juggle, doing everything, wanting to achieve everything. Can we be business women? Can we be mothers? Can we have it all?
Yeah.
That is the question.
I think you can have it all, but not always as great as you would like it to
Maybe.
be. At the same time, I find that I wear different hats on different days, and some
Yeah.
days I think I'm smashing life as a mum,
Yeah.
and then some days I'm smashing
Yeah.
life as my business, but I'm not such a great mum, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always a good mum, but you know what I mean.
Something's got to give.
Something has to give.
Yes, so it's can we have it all? Maybe we can, but don't think that anything comes without compromise
Yeah.
and without sacrifice. So I think in this day and age, I think we're very much, as women, I think we're very much sold the idea that we definitely can have it all.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's quite competitive as well.
in some ways,
competitive.
I am in favour of that narrative. You know, we've moved on a lot, haven't we, in terms of what women can achieve in life and the expectations of women. So that, of course, is only a positive thing. But I think there are always going to be consequences to every decision that you make, and it's hard sometimes because I can't lie, as a woman living, you know, in this sort of era that we're in now, I do feel a pressure. I feel a pressure to achieve, be a wonderful mother, be a very successful person in my chosen career, be, you know, giving and nurturing and be, I don't know,
Stable life,
and
in an unstable world, or the world that we've chosen can be unstable with our jobs.
It's so hard because we want so badly to succeed at everything we do, and I think that's just a general pressure that's put on everybody these days. And I mean, that's a whole other podcast probably talking about sort of that the consequences of that pressure that's put on everybody to succeed at everything, and the sort of fakery around the narrative that we sell on social media, that everything is so wonderful, and that competitive nature creeps in, doesn't it? Because of that,
that's it.
Unfortunately, we can't do anything about the sort of human condition and the fact that we live in an era now where you're sort of surrounded by this idea of achieving
idealism
things.
that everything's perfect and wonderful and everybody is achieving everything, which then makes you want to achieve more. So you're almost in an unrealistic
That's right.
sort of universe, because
Yes.
it is unrealistic and
it's not real.
And everything that people put out on social media isn't real, but your brain doesn't tell you that. You look at that and think, well, they're doing amazingly well. Maybe I need to do better. And then you're on this constant competitive nature, not in a nasty way, but you're competing against yourself, really. You want to achieve more because you see other people. Why can't they doing that? They seem to have it all. You know?
And I think it is part of, you know, our social discourse now. It's part of the way we live our lives. And again, it's another podcast here, just in this one sentence, but I'm so glad that I actually grew up without the internet. I'm very... I feel quite fortunate in a way to have had my childhood without the internet and without social media. And I worry about my own children in relation to that and the future. Obviously, they're very young at the moment, but I see how hard that must be for parents of teenagers, or, you know, I do see the huge challenges ahead when it comes to things like social media.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree.
But
And where do you stand on social media for your children in the future? Like, is there an age limit for you and Anna? Like with your son, But it's so hard.
The difficulty is once all their friends start doing it,
And
pressure.
And you feel mean then,
that you have, do you have to
get a phone
conform?
and,
It's very difficult. You just have to hope that they have the morals instilled in them from the beginning to be sensible enough.
Make sensible choices.
To make the
sensible choices.
most appropriate choices.
I think you can't change the way we are as a time, and we're advanced in technology. I don't think you can change, and I think it's important that you give your children those tools, because at the end of the day, that's where we are in society. But I think it's giving them the education right from the start. And with Grayson and with my children, I am 100% going to be preempting the fact that I don't want them to have social media, because I don't think it's good for mental health, because of what we've just spoke about, the unrealistic information that's being put out, that you should achieve to look like this, you should be achieving that.
Is it realistic to think that your child in the future won't have a social media presence?
No, definitely not. I don't think it's realistic, but I think I am going to hold off as long as I physically can.
Yes.
And I think that might come with some challenges, but I think if I'm preempting that. I'm going to be educating Grayson in that, and to know that that's not going to happen for a long period until I feel comfortable and safe. And then obviously it's then educating him on what is going to be putting out there. And things might change. Like, this is Grayson's only one. I'm already getting him an iPhone.
I think it's
social media account.
But do you know that we're in such a situation with social media that even though my children are 1 and 4, I think about it already.
Yeah, I think you need to.
Which, is worrying in itself, really. But it is part of the world we live in. And unfortunately, we can't really ignore it. Mm-hmm. No, that's it.
You can't wrap them up. You can't wrap them up, but it's scary.
It is scary.
It is scary.
I don't really know how we got onto this subject. The reason I was mentioning things like that was just this idea that in this day and age, women are told that you can have it all as a woman now. You can have the glittering business empire, the success, you can have the family. And I wonder what the reality of that narrative is. So, for example, Katie, you have really worked hard to build your business and your career, and you probably put off starting your family until you were at the point where you felt that you were secure and comfortable and ready. But of course, making that decision did have a big consequence for you, and you ended up in a situation that you didn't anticipate.
Yeah, it's I think starting a family, I did put it off. I was sort of fooling myself. I mean, I'm 45. Thank you. I know. Thank you very much. I'm 45, but I definitely feel 35. Like, aside from how I might look, I know. Thank you. I actually feel in my heart and my head 35. There is no question. I think there's been a mix-up at my dates. But so I think that's played a contributing factor as well. But definitely my career. And I could see straight away, for me, I felt it was important for me to fulfill myself as a person and to put the foundations in place for me and my family, because I know how hard work it is to run a business, to get things off the ground. I'm so lucky that I have Stuart, who runs the business with me. He's a director within the company. We're both we work the same. Without that, I wouldn't have that. We've made a choice to build this empire, and then with that then comes, we're both sharing the responsibility of Grayson, which means we can do a little bit more. But yeah, I definitely I wouldn't be where I am now if I'd have made the decision to have a family earlier. I don't believe anyway. Some people might differ, but I just don't believe I would.
It's so hard, isn't it? Because there are so many advantages, I think, to having children young. Physically, I think you probably have a lot more energy, and maybe when you start to get a little bit more time back for yourself, you're young enough, maybe then you have this window of opportunity to maybe fulfill some of your earlier ambitions. So there are different ways to come at it, I suppose.
Definitely.
But for us, we're really wanting to have this talk today because over the last few years, a lot of the darlings have become mums, and we've all got our own individual stories and experiences, and it really does change the landscape. And I think as 3 sort of self-employed, obviously you run your own business, Katie, but, you know, we're all self-employed performers and singers, and, you know, we've had quite, I suppose, varied careers in performance. I know you've done quite a few sort of touring jobs internationally. You've been on cruises, like I've been, you know, I've worked away a lot as well.
Yeah.
You know, I've had whole years away from home working on ships and things. And, you know, so of course, starting a family massively shifts the landscape in terms of your work.
Yeah, it changes how you can work.
It changes
and where
everything.
You can work.
Yes, that's
Definitely.
of course. So I think in some ways, in this line of work, you often see women starting a family a little bit later.
So regarding your situation and your children,
Yes.
multiple, you've got 2 amazing children,
Yes.
beautiful. How have you found that then, sort of the transition for you personally?
So I have to say, actually, going from 1 child to 2 was more of a shock. You know, I thought, okay, I've made the big lifestyle change already by becoming a mum.
What's one more?
What's one more?
Yeah.
And yes, so I'm so lucky, and I can't say enough how lucky I feel to have such a supportive family around me on both sides. You know, I'm able to do what I do with the D-Day Darlings because I've got 2 sets of wonderful grandparents
Amazing.
on my side and my husband Chris's side, who help us so much, because obviously Chris has a full-time job, and as you know, the hours that we work and the sporadic nature of this job and the sort of feast or famine nature of it as well. So we can go through times that are extremely busy when I
May.
May and June,
May.
where we might be, you know, needed on events and for performances and shows, you know, sort of 6 days out of 7. And really, to make that work, you know, you need supportive people and people who
a village.
a village.
You need a village.
Quite. And of course there are the more conventional childcare options like playgroups and nursery settings, but of course they don't always work with this job that we do,
the hours.
because the hours aren't right, because we're out late at night, we're out over the weekends. So without having those people in my life who are there to help me, especially now with 2, there's no way I'd be able to do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely no way. And of course Chris helps as well where he can, and he tries to
Shuffle work around.
and be as flexible as he possibly can within the constraints of having a full-time job, you know. So
quite a high profile full-time
yeah,
job.
so it is a juggle, and I have to say, it is the most wonderful thing of my life. Becoming a mum, it's the joy of my life, as you know, and I'm sure many of our listeners will know. But in terms of, you know, the landscape shifting in terms of what you're able to do career-wise, work-wise, I think it's a seismic shift in what you're able to do. And it's just a case of, I suppose, getting used to that
and
new landscape.
accepting it yourself as a like you say, as a career person, as someone that wants to achieve, as a talented woman that's got all these talents and this enthusiasm for your job. It is hard. That comes back to can we have it all, the balance and the juggle.
And I think as well, like I've been very dedicated to trying to keep this career going for as long as possible. And, you know, with that in mind, as a self-employed person, you say yes to almost everything. Yes. Okay, it's tricky. I can make it work. I'll be there. I'll do it. And then, of course, you that's not the top of the list anymore.
It's not always that easy when you have
children.
children.
It's not always that easy. So
it's not always
you know,
that
so
easy.
it's, I will, you know, now it's, I'll get back to you. Give me 24 hours and let me see if I can actually...
I have noticed that actually happening. It used to be yes, now it's I'll get back to you. Okay, that explains why. Joking.
I still have the same drive and passion for, you know, the D-Day Darlings, but it is more challenging to you know, fulfill all of the commitments. But
I think, though, the fact that the nature of the job and what it is, the fact that we're all friends and we support each other, like,
It's
obviously,
massive.
I run the business and I'm the one that's like, you need to be there. And I'm like, it's quite difficult sometimes to find how I not pitch myself with you girls, because I know that we're good friends, almost best friends, you know, but it's like I am running a business and I do need to make those decisions. But I think
you're in a difficult position
to know. I know how to be now because I have a team around me and my friends around me that will respect that 100%. When I'm not bossy, but I have to make those firm decisions.
She's very bossy, but it's okay. We
I'm
love
not that
her.
bad. I'm not that bad. There's worse. But without that, we don't get there. So I have to be like that. And sometimes I actually hate doing it.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
someone has to steer the ship, though, don't they? And
Yeah.
you have to have that direction and that drive and that focus. And ultimately, you are getting the opportunities for all of us
yeah, that's
as a collective.
Bloody thing.
Definitely. I think it's actually a really hard balance to strike for you, because you are...
Naturally very personable.
Yeah, and I feel like
And-
you wear your heart on your sleeve,
Yeah.
and you like to be
A friend.
a friend. Yeah,
And
I
have
think that's
camaraderie.
important.
And-
Yeah,
Well, that's what makes it fun. That's why we do
Exactly.
a
And
job
you
that doesn't
are a
feel like a
naturally
job.
fun person.
Yeah. Oh, tell love. I don't think Stuart would agree with that.
The comedy, the gigs where
Yes.
the comedy turn
Yeah.
makes an appearance.
yes.
But what I'm saying is, bless you, bit of comedy. Everybody loves a bit of comedy. But what I'm saying is, I think having the nature of what we do and the balance that we have and the understanding of each other makes it easier, or a little easier, to be able to juggle, to want the career, have those career moments, but also stay at home. And we can't do everything.
No.
And we support each other. We try and do everything. And
Yes.
if we can't, we understand. And I understand, unless it's massive. And then I'm like, absolutely not. You have to be there. Get one of those glowing grandparents to look after those two beautiful children and be there. But Emily's always there. So that's absolutely fine. But the same with you, Alana. And gosh, Alana is always there.
Yes.
She will move heaven and earth to be there around being a mum, around being a career woman and a businesswoman, running your own businesses, your own training academy, amazing. And you have one child, beautiful Arthur, who's so good looking, by the way. What a cutie. He's always been a supermodel right from birth.
He's going to break so many
He's
hearts.
breaking mine. He broke mine in 6 months.
No, I actually look at him on a daily basis, and we have this little phrase between us where I look at him and I go, "Oh, you just break my heart." And he never used to understand what break my heart meant, but now he kind of gets it, because obviously I've said it to him so many times, and now he gets it.
Mum.
And now he'll say to me, "Mummy, am I breaking your heart?" And I'm like,
yes.
"Oh, you just
Yes.
melt me."
So you're so lucky to have Arthur. What a gorgeous child. And I know
Yeah.
obviously you've been married to Paul's, like your childhood sweetheart, isn't he?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah. We got together when I was 18, and I'm 36 now, so that's 18 years.
Like me and Stuart have been
ago.
together for 18 years.
Yeah.
I didn't. That feels weird.
Yeah.
Because we didn't meet till I was. Well, I'm not very good at maths. But I get back to school. Anyway, on to the next.
But can you believe we've been married for 7 years in July?
That's weird.
So crazy, isn't
That's
it?
bad.
Where does the time go?
It just feels like 6 months.
But yeah, it's the juggle is real. I mean,
And the pressure to have
yeah.
a family and maybe more children as well. It's you
yeah.
know.
I think generally, like, my career changed a lot when I got married and then had Arthur soon after, because like Emily said earlier, I was touring around, I was doing lots of jobs internationally in different countries and on cruises, and then that moment in your life comes and life changes and you have to adapt. And actually the D-Day Darlings came at the perfect moment for me. It's sort of like when the planets align, and I've been so grateful of that ever since, because I've been able to fulfill my passions and my dreams of singing and performing as part of the D-Day Darlings
With
and
high profile moments.
and getting to do the most amazing theatres, TV appearances, just far more than I ever imagined would be in my life, But yeah, it is a juggle, finding constant childcare, and as much as you want your career to be amazing, you also want to be an amazing mom. Yeah. So it's a very fine balancing act. But similar to Emily, I have a really good support network and a very understanding husband who is used to me going, "I'm leaving at 6 a.m, bye."
Yeah, Paul's amazing.
Yeah, he's great.
I mean, all our husbands are. I think we're so lucky, all of us, to have husbands, partners, boyfriends that are understanding of what we do and supportive. I think as well, it wouldn't really work if we didn't have that.
No,
it'd be
it's
very
all
difficult.
part of the support network, isn't it? We're a team, even including. We need to do something with our husbands. We need to get
them on the podcast.
Oh, sorry. It's like
I'll get Chris to get his radio voice on.
Loose women's answer to loose men.
Yes.
Oh, the D-Day Derricks.
The D-Day Derricks.
Or the D-Day Del Boys in my case.
The D-Day dudes.
The D-Day dudes. Nice one. So, any more children on the pipeline, Alana, do you think?
Well, this is a story in itself because a year or so ago, or maybe more now, after we had Arthur, Paul wanted another child. And I was quite happy with Arthur because my life, my business.
She got a figure back.
Is so is so busy. And then Paul really wanted to have a child, and I was like, no, we can't fit it in. There's just there isn't the time. So we sort of put that idea aside, and then we sort of decided that Arthur was it for us. But now it's kind of gone the other way, and now I think that I might like another one.
Oh my! Really?
Exclusive, guys.
Wow, that's a turn
Yeah,
up.
exclusive. So, but now
Hang on,
Paul's gone the other way.
Does Paul know, or is he learning this
should we
through
edit
the
this bit out?
podcast?
Well, Paul's sort of saying like it's now or never because
Sorry.
he's 41 now, and he's saying it's now or never. Make a decision. So it's up in the air, shall we say?
Quite literally.
But never say never.
Oh,
Sorry, I just felt we needed to get a little bit of that in there.
classic.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And a
we'll
smut.
see. We'll see what happens.
Oh, well, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
God, well, do you know what? Arthur's amazing. If you can have another one. It's like we just said, when Emily said, we're mothers, and I can't even tell you the gulp it gave me because it's like I still sit here now absolutely like completely ecstatic that I have a baby.
Yeah.
Because there's for so long it was looking doubtful, like 100%, and as soon as you said that, I had a lump and I really felt a deep emotion, and I've been sitting there through this conversation with a deep emotion in there. It's still so rooted within me, and I can't believe how blessed I am really to have. I literally can't believe it. I still can't believe I have a baby, and I suppose it gives you a deeper appreciation. I'm not saying we don't all love and appreciate our children 100%. I just, for me, I can't stop looking at him. I can't stop touching him, and I don't mind when he wakes me up in the night. I'm shattered, but I don't mind because it's like I'd much rather be woken up in the night than be woken up in the night of thoughts of not having a child, which I've done that for many years.
I mean, I imagine a lot of people who listen to this podcast will know a little bit about your history, but maybe for those who don't, you can fill them in a bit.
Started to try again the career, the D-Day darlings, the life, the building up the foundations of my empire, everything that I want to achieve, was put in place. And then when I was about 38, which I suppose is considered geriatric in terms of having a baby, I knew I wanted to start trying for a baby. And I was so excited, and I remember having a conversation with Emily because I'm like, quick in life. I think of an idea, I get stuff done, I make it happen, I don't faff about. I said to Emily, because I've just got that mind, I just quick. And I remember having a conversation with Emily saying, I'm going to start trying for a baby. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing, so excited. And I said, you know what, I think I'm going to be one of those people that gets pregnant straight away, like really quick. What it's like. And she was like, yeah. I mean, why not? People do. And it happens.
Yeah, and I think as well, you had probably some confidence because you've got 3 sisters who've all had children.
Yeah. All my sisters have had children. Mum's had 4 children.
Yes.
It's like, we've got a very fertile family, and there's no reason to believe why that won't happen to me. And all good. Start trying for a baby, and you think, wham bam, thank you, mum, is that it? But very quickly realised 6 months, 7 months on, and I think when you get to my age, when you've been trying for 6 to 7 months, I was sort of approaching my 40s, you start to think something might be wrong now. Or maybe deal with it quicker because time's not on your side. So I remember organising a meeting, and it was, we had tests, and there was no reason to suggest why I wouldn't get pregnant. There's nothing particularly wrong with me other than I think age and, I don't know, situation, or we don't know. It's unexplained infertility. So I embarked on the IVF route, which was hard to get your head around because, people were getting pregnant around you naturally. I mean, why can't I? What's wrong with me as a woman? It opens up all sorts of insecurities. And I remember this being one of the hardest things I've ever been through. I've been on this planet for a few years and I've never experienced anything like this. The feeling, the triggers, the isolation that it can make you feel, the sadness, the frustration, so
I think as well, if you don't mind my saying, like, once you'd embarked upon this journey, I think it's important as well to mention that over these like intervening years, obviously you're still very busy with work and everything, and a lot of the people who you were with every day were getting pregnant. And it was almost like there was a bit of a chain reaction,
It's bittersweet.
Somebody would get pregnant, then the next girl would say, oh, I'm pregnant. The next girl would say, I'm pregnant.
Many of us were pregnant within very quick
because we're in the age, we're in the age bracket. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And I could see how, because you were really amazing, Katie. You were so supportive to everybody, but I could see how hard that must have been.
Yeah. God, I remember in the dressing room, it was bumps galore at one point.
Yeah.
It was like, I think I was like 2 or 3 rounds in, had a miscarriage, and failed rounds of IVF. Definitely no baby. And I just remember bumps galore in the dressing room. I think there was you, there was Nicola, and there was Jessica.
Yeah, we were all pregnant
at the same time. Slightly different, varying times, but of course the excitement, and I'm excited for you because you're my friends. I love you all, so I am so pleased for you. But the way that made me feel as a woman, seeing 3 bumps, glorious bumps all around me, all I wanted was a bump. I wanted to be that big and, in the
billowing dress.
Yeah, I wanted the maternity, and that was really, really hard. But again, it's like I said, it's bittersweet because you are so pleased for your friends, and that's weird. It's like a juxtaposition. You're so happy, but then you're so sad at the same time.
It's totally understandable for you to feel sad as well, and feel maybe you can't face that today. I think that's understandable.
Yeah, it's having to face it though as well. It's like you don't really get a choice. It's like,
no.
And also as well, I don't want to be that person that I've had to say no to a few things, baby showers, a few things that I didn't need to attend that was going to be a trigger.
I think as well, particularly around difficult times.
Around difficult times, like 2020, I had an absolute huge meltdown, if that's the word, an absolute crisis point, years and years of grief. The realisation during COVID, actually, the world stopped turning. I was stopped being distracted by, the wonderful.
Nothing to take your mind off it.
With your thoughts.
Yeah, I was completely on my own. Not on my own. Well, pretty much. We were on our own at points because we couldn't see people. So I guess I lost a support network as well, like a physical support network. Obviously, Stuart helped me and Caitlin helped me, but I missed my friends. I missed that.
And probably crucially, you lost the main distraction of performing it with the D-Day Darlings.
Yeah. That's it.
Touring and performing, and that lovely connection that you get with the audience, that, it is a wonderful distraction if you are going through something difficult. Yeah. I think
it's quite cathartic as well, what we do. It's cathartic, it's emotional, and it's, you can connect for different reasons. It has a deeper meaning. These songs are designed for what we sing, the era that we're dedicating to is a dark time. So it's my dark time, it's my war, and that music helped me through.
It can take you somewhere else.
Yeah.
As well, so
the message in there is it can mean different things. You're right. So I think that breakdown and that emotional absolute minefield that I went through, round after round, miscarriage, ectopic pregnancy. the joy of being pregnant, and spending time with my friends and then them celebrating me being pregnant, you guys. And that felt amazing. It was my turn now. I was pregnant. And then to lose that, I mean, it was like being dropped from a height that was just, not lost the plot, but I suffered major grief.
Yeah. Went down to into a
low
dark hole.
low place. And I felt so, it was basically, I just felt trapped. We were trapped inside COVID, just looking out and feeling so alone.
Yeah.
So alone. And just needing something to, I needed a baby.
And I suppose, however you manage to distract yourself from that need and that yearning, it's never going to go.
It doesn't go, and you can't accept it. And people say to you, well, maybe you're not meant to have a baby, but my heart is not telling me that. My maternal instinct is saying I am meant to be a mum. I want to be a mum. Whether I will be a mum is questionable, but that's what's in my heart. That's what I want. And people mean well. People do mean well, but it can be, you need support. But I think the best thing that you can do in that situation is listen. It's just listen to how they feel. And if that's how they feel, then that is how they feel. And sort of trying to give them positive, strong, well, you'll be okay, you can carry on, well, it wasn't meant to be, or you'll have another one, or you
have another go, or
think of it in this way. You can't. It's your loss. It's your. Whether it's just a failed round of IVF, whether it's just the fact you haven't got a baby and you've been trying naturally, or whether you've had a miscarriage, it's a loss. If you're not where you want to be, it's a loss. However, deep, everybody is different.
Yeah.
I really feel, honestly, that I know so much more now. I can't put myself in your shoes, but because we are so close and we spend so much time together, I feel like I do have some level of appreciation and understanding of what this journey is.
Definitely.
How
I 100% agree.
Yeah, even the logistics of it. How does it actually work?
Yeah.
Things like taking the drugs for 3 months, preparing your body, what you have to go through, and of course, the actual final stage of your treatment, which has obviously been very successful, and how that was almost like an education for me. The incredible things that can be done.
Yeah.
Obviously you can fill them in more about that.
I mean, this is I've not spoken about this. During 2020, when I had my initial huge grief and my meltdown, as it were, I decided to do something with all that. I like to turn a negative into a positive in anything I do, and I wanted to do something with this journey, with what I'd learned. Like Emily said, like she's learned so much through my journey. I wanted to share that with so many people, and also as well, it was cathartic for me to do that, to get my thoughts and feelings down. There was nothing going on with COVID. I had the time. I wanted to document it to help me, and then to reach out to other women, because I know how lonely and isolating it can make you feel. In a very supportive world, when I've got so many people around me, you can feel completely on your own. There's no question. And I wanted to do a podcast, so I did a 3 or 4 part episode podcast, Keep Smiling Through, after my lovely Dame Vera, because that's what you'll have seen of me, smiling all through the D-Day Darlings, Britain's Got Talent, all over the TV, doing lots of different things on shows. But deep down underneath, there is been a sadness for a long time that I've had to cope with, but we've kept smiling, and that's, I think, through the support of my friends. So I documented that. And that then, a couple of rounds later of IVF tries failed. I decided to go on to the next stage, which is, I haven't documented this stage yet on my podcast, but I am going to. I'm going to do an insight into this next procedure. Now, no one knows this yet. This is completely news. But I had an egg donor. And to come to that realization of having to do that was hard. It's something I wanted to avoid for a long time. My fertility doctor was dripping it in there throughout my years and years of trying and all my IVF tries and thousands of pounds up in the air. He was saying, we will continue as long as you want, but if you want to have a child sooner rather than later, I strongly recommend egg donor. Now, after, you know, a long time, I decided to get my head around it slowly after my last failed round of IVF. Discussed it with Stuart, and I got some information on it, and I had some therapy for it to sort of understand it and work through my sadness and my feelings of the sadness of not having my own biological child, because obviously this egg is donated from another woman, and so biologically it is her child. Grayson is not my biological child. I don't know this person. It's all anonymous, and there's ways of making it anonymous, which is what I wanted for me to be able to cope with doing this. There's no way I could know this person, that she would be Grayson's biological mother in a way. He's mine. I'm his mum. I grew him, and there's no way I want that initial connection for all those reasons. Otherwise, I couldn't have done it. So for me to make that decision, as soon as I got my head around it, I knew it was the right step for me. But even until I had the embryo transfer, so I flew out to Cyprus. It was all done through a clinic in Leeds, the same clinic that was doing my normal IVF. It was IVF using egg donor, and I flew out to Cyprus because there it is anonymous, and you don't need to know who the person is, and it's wonderful, and it's an amazing clinic. And I had an egg donor, but even up to the embryo transfer, I remember feeling, I'm having another woman's egg put inside me. It was just still a bit weird, but I knew I had to do it because it was my only hope. And then once I'd had the procedure done and the embryo was in, and I, got pregnant. Oh my God. Like I got pregnant. I could not believe it. Like, to do a positive pregnancy test and to really feel that this was going to work this time. I had this weird premonition the night of my pregnancy test of, I saw a little boy's face, very fair face. I heard a baby's cry from the nursery that Grayson is now in, and I could see positive. This is a few hours before I actually did my test. This is what happened. And I went in the bathroom and I did the test, and it was positive. And I will always trust my instincts now, my gut. Always, because I can see Grayson in that image that I saw. I can see Grayson. And to then grow Grayson in me straight, as soon as I felt him grow, as soon as I could see my tummy expanding, I knew that Grayson was mine. Clearly, no doubt, biologically or not biologically, he's mine. And I tell you something, it's been the best decision that I ever made. And I hope will give hope to a lot of people like me, who formed a career, who's perhaps left it too late. The odds of IVF using egg donor is way higher. For normal IVF of my age, I'm not 100% sure of the absolute definitive, but it's less than 15%, almost like 12%. For IVF using egg donor, it's sort of 85, 87%. And really, you need to be fit and healthy. You need a good womb lining that's thick, and they give you medication to thicken your womb lining. But that's really what you need, is a good quality womb lining. And if you have that, you're good to go. And it's obviously worked because I have Grayson. It's not guaranteed, but it's a much higher chance than normal IVF. So what a success story,
It's amazing. And I suppose then, obviously, you're growing the baby inside you, so the baby will take on your,
epigenetics.
Yeah, epigenetics.
Oh, yeah, like we were saying, Grayson is so going to be like me. He's always behind the scenes. He's always with us on the road. He knows all the music. If he wasn't inside me and he didn't grow inside me and he wasn't my child, he grew up in, I don't know, we were saying Princess Kate and William, he'd end up like them, attending very posh affairs.
Doing the boat race.
Exactly. He'd be, he'd be very regal, whereas he's not going to be regal with me, love.
But does he not take on some of your biology as well? He'll take your bloods and things?
It takes your blood, yeah, I suppose. So there's a certain element of that. It takes your blood. So yes, in that way. But how I nurture Grayson will be how he will end up, if that, well, as you know. But biologically, he's not my child. But I've got my head around that. I think I still work through it because I still have therapy for all my journey, for where I am now in life. I just believe in therapy to cope with everything, past and present. And I still do work through it now. But Grayson is my child. I'm his mum. He clings to me. He wants me. He looks at me. He's in love with me. And that's it.
And I suppose if you widen that out, to, I'm just thinking about other people and other experiences. I suppose, it's the whole thing about being a mum or being a dad isn't really about biology.
No.
Because you can nurture somebody. You might have a situation where, obviously, of course, there's adopted children and step parents and
mothers and fathers come in all shapes and sizes.
Grandparents, caring people that come into a child's life and become the most important nurturing parental figure.
Yeah, that's it.
And I get goosebumps when I think about it, because I actually think it's the most incredible thing. Because really, it's just all about, it's love, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
It's
love.
It's
that's the only important thing. It's the only thing.
That is perfect. That is so true. It is the only important thing. And this opportunity, it's just given me so much hope, which I really want to share with as many people as I can, because I'm so proud of it. Like, I'm not ashamed of what I've done in any way. I don't want Grayson to be ashamed of it. I'm going to be really open with him. I've got children's books about egg donation and how the little pea became me. I've got a book called How the Pea Became Me, and when he's old, as soon as he can, I'm gonna let him know about that. And I want him to be proud of how he's here. And I'm going to be sharing more detailed information about how the process works, maybe a little bit financially, how much it costs, and how information around the medication and the whole process. I want to give hope, particularly to women like me that are focused on career or that have struggled that have been trying for years. Hope is not lost, and there are ways and means. Hopefully, it can help lots of people. Yeah. So that's going to be something that I will share through my own podcast, Keep Smiling Through, another episode that I'll be recording over the coming months. But we hope that it's not been a Debbie Downer.
Too heavy.
Today. We did say we were going to be bearing all, stripped down to the bare basics. But we're positive people, and we take the positives out of the negatives, and I think that's really important. And
definitely.
We hope that everything from the juggle to life to how many children you should have, can we have it all, the balancing work and children and fulfilling yourselves as a person and as a career, we hope that that's relatable to so many people.
And I think sharing that with everybody, because you are an open book, and I think it's just wonderful because there will be people listening who can relate to what you've been through. Yeah. There might be people listening who are interested in maybe the idea of using an egg donor, but you don't really know much about it.
A scary thought. Well, I'm proof that it is scary, but it can work. So I'm up for people messaging the D-Day Darlings. If you want to pop a message on the inbox, it'll get to me. I can provide some information privately as well. I've done that absolute loads throughout my whole sharing of my podcast and everything. So that doesn't stop. In fact, if anything, I'm going to ramp it up. So get in touch, guys. We're going to have a whole world of new babies. We love you lots, guys. Thank you so much for listening. And Emily's going to let us know what's coming next.
Oh, well, we're really going to lighten the mood for the next week because we're doing a Coronation special.
Rule Britannia. Right,
get out the flag, bake the cake, get that trestle table out because we're having a street party.
And plans that we've got for the D-Day Darlings. We've got a single coming out. Woo, woo, woo. A brand new tour, what that's all about, and how we're all going to be celebrating this glorious moment of history. We love you guys. Keep it D-Day Darlings.
Bye-bye.
Ta-da, love.